Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm going to be reviewing Wingspan Pocket from Stonemaier Games. Wingspan Pocket is exactly what it sounds like. A pocket version of Wingspan, although granted Pocket might be pushing it a bit. This would be a very hard thing to fit into your pocket. You might be able to fit the cards and components alone, but I think you'd still need pretty big pockets. It is certainly a more travel-friendly version of Wingspan, that's for sure. But Wingspan Pocket is a 1 to 5 player game. A 1 to 5 player game that's going to be based on Wingspan. And I mean, it is basically Wingspan. It's Wingspan with changes. That's what the game is. I'm going to give you a general overview of how it plays. I'm going to give you a review. It's going to be a little different format because I'm going to be talking about more in comparison to Wingspan than fully on its own. But let's go ahead and dive into it. Wingspan Pocket plays pretty quickly. The box says 25 to 35 minutes. I think that's accurate enough because ultimately on your turn, you're going to start with 4 cards or 6 cards. 4 of them is going to be food, 2 are going to be birds. If you're playing the basic mode, you just do it randomly. If you're playing advanced mode, choose. I recommend doing the advanced mode as soon as you know the game, whether you know Wingspan well enough or if it's your second play of this onwards. Now, part of what you're going to be choosing is based on is going to be the skull display as well as the abilities on those birds. For example, right now at the end of the game, I'm going to be rewarded for beaks pointing right and wingspans 66 centimeters or greater. This guy has a wingspan of 245, and this guy has a big pointed right. So hopefully they can get me points if I put eggs on them. It's 1 point per egg on those birds. You want to be mindful of that. On your turn, you're going to do one of 3 things. You're going to either play a bird, or draw any 2 cards, or you're going to lay up to 3 eggs on different species. But basically, really what you're doing on your turn is you're activating your row. Your row happens to include those 3 things. You take your feather and you say, I'm going to do this, which includes one of those 3 things, and then any other brown powers on birds you have. For example, just to give an example, I can start by going ahead and I'm going to play a card. So starting here, activate your brown powers. I'm going to put this over here and I'm going to play a card. I'm going to play this card, and the way I'm going to do that is I need 1 egg. You start with an egg, so that's fine. And then I'm going to need 2 worms over there, which I do have in my hand over here. So I'm going to discard these 2 worms in order to go ahead and play that bird. But then now I can go ahead and move this, which means now I can draw a worm from the display. That's my turn. There we go. I now end the turn with 3 food, 1 bird. We are good to go. We are making progress. That's turn 1. Other players take their turns, and then it's back to my turn. It goes pretty quickly. For my next turn, I'm going to reset that feather, and then I'm going to, once again, I'm going to choose any of these abilities. This time around, I'm going to lay 3 eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and lay 3 eggs, and go 1, 2, and 3 over there. There we go. That's plain and simple. Done. Does the job. Excellent. 3 eggs. And then I once again draw a bird, draw a food with that food on it from the display. There we go. We're doing great. We got some cards being added. On my next turn, again, other players have cleared the display, done some things. My next turn, I once again do the same thing, but I'm going to show you the third action. I'm going to draw any combination of 2 cards. This time I can draw any food cards, but I can also draw any of these. Looking at these, I don't necessarily have the food I need to play most of those. I do have that, so if I get, honestly, maybe I should play a card. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play a card. I'm going to change my mind, so I'm going to play a card because I can. So I'm going to play this card, which again is going to get me points. This one costs an egg, so I'm going to get rid of this egg from the display over here. I'm going to get rid of 2 fish, which I have, as well as 1 rat, which I have. So we're going to be able to play that card, which means then when it goes back onto here, I can once again draw a card from the display, and then it goes onto here, I can draw a fish and a rat from the display. We have both of those. I think it's a mouse, actually. Great. Back to my next turn. Once again, this time I am going to draw 2 cards, knowing that I have a bunch of food over here where I can possibly gather some more cards. Can I get this one? I don't have. I need another one of these over here, another wheat, which I don't have access to, unfortunately. So this one's going to be a bit harder. I could go ahead and do this one. This is not bad. In fact, if I take this and then this, that's not a bad combo. So I'm going to go ahead and draw any 2 cards. I'm going to draw this one, and I'm going to draw that one. So I'm going to draw those 2 cards. Then I'm going to, once again, get a card from the display. And then once again, get one of those. I'm going to gather that. And then at the end of my turn, these will refill. So I'm going to refill those spots on the board. And then, again, I'm going to move, I went to over here, activated all those, going into the next turn. You're going to repeat this process until you have 6 cards in front of you, at which point that's going to trigger endgame. 6 cards is all you need. You are basically doing a constant. It's a fast action Wingspan. You're going to always be activating a row as you build up that row to be more efficient. So there's a constant puzzle of which cards do you place into your row in order to build the fastest, most efficient engine that is going to reward you either with your economy by giving you more food. Like, for example, my engine is very food-based, but it might be things that might be point-based. It might be tucking cards under cards to get points. So I might be getting food every turn. You might be getting multiple points every single turn, depending on how you build your engine. You're trying to do all this until you have your 6 cards, at which point you'll score for the points on the cards, any eggs you have that fit those criteria on various cards, as well as any tucked food is going to be worth a point as well, and that's basically Wingspan Pocket. it's fast-acting Wingspan with 1 row instead of 4. Is it 4? No, Wingspan is 3 rows. Wingspan is 3 rows. The 4th row is just the playing a card. But anyways, it's fast-acting Wingspan with 1 row, and just playing until you have 6 cards. That's your entire tableau in this game. 6 cards plus your nest, and that's it. Which means it's time for my review of what I think about this game. Wingspan Pocket is an interesting one. The fact that you only play 6 cards to a certain extent might feel much more condensed than traditional Wingspan, where you could have a much larger display, and you certainly can. But this also gives you a 25 to 30 minute game, and the fact that you're activating your row again and again and again means you see far more use out of those 6 cards than you would out of your full tableau in traditional Wingspan. You're continuously activating them. So in Wingspan, you might have, a much larger display of birds, but you're not activating them as frequently. This one, every bird you play matters. Those first few birds you play will get activated so many times throughout the game that you're really getting your money's worth, and so the first picks you have are incredibly key. Knowing the right cards to get out fast to be able to build the right engine and to sequence your cards in order, and things that seem really good at first might kind of stall out depending, like if they don't have the right things in display, you can't benefit from them, so you really need to build things that kind of build your engine in a way that they can serve into each other, giving you the economy you need, giving you the cards to tuck you need, allowing you to grab things from the display as you need them. It is a very tight game as far as those 6 cards that you play. It's an interesting kind of conversation as far as who the target audience for this is. I mean, obviously, to a certain extent, more Wingspan product equals more people interested. There's a very large world of Wingspan people who are going to buy this because maybe it's great. But I don't actually know. I don't know, like, is it a travel-friendly Wingspan? Is that the main appeal? I don't know if that necessarily is it's not what I'm looking for out of it. But for me, is it because it's a shorter game? Not necessarily. I'm just curious what this does, and does it justify being a different game, or is it basically just like, like they have recently, they came out with Catan on the Road, which is basically just Catan, but worse in my opinion, but at a smaller price point, with less decision space. Separate conversation, that's not about this. Over here, this is actually a fairly, it's a slightly puzzlier game. I don't know if puzzlier is the right term. I like the fact that you build a row and you really activate it again and again and again, which I've said several times, but that puzzle makes the row you build matter so much. I find myself still not pulled into the world of Wingspan. I'm not the target audience for Wingspan in general, by the way. I think Wingspan's a fine game. I've enjoyed it every time I play it, but I'm never pulled into it. And a big part for me is that I never think any particular cards are super cool. Like, it's never like, it's a bunch of cards with birds in it, which you could say about any game, but in most games, there's like the cards that are good that I love, and in Wingspan, there's never like those cards that I feel like, oh, that's the card that's great. I've always had this problem with Wingspan, with Wormspan, with Finspan. I like some more than others in different ways, but I've never been pulled in by any card standing out as being like, oh my gosh, the yellow-tailed cockatiel came out. I don't know if that's a card or not, I'm making it up. But I've never had that moment in any Wingspan adjacent game, and that's true of Wingspan Pocket. But I do like the row. I'm in a weird place in this game where I really like the row that you build. I thought 6 cards wouldn't be enough, but because of the continuous activation, you get so much out of it, which really makes it matter. I've played this game a bunch by now, and it still is rewarding, and I'm still not pulled in, if that makes sense. I don't feel the drive to play it because I'm not pulled into the cards, the theme, any of it. I mean, the art's great, but just nothing's pulling me in. But the actual gameplay is kind of fun once I do. The row you're building and the tableau you're building somehow feels more rewarding than traditional Wingspan for me. Part of that might be because you don't have the constraints that Wingspan does. Wingspan kind of feels like you're constantly trying to make sure you get the resources you need in order to be able to do anything. This one feels a bit more free. Yes, you still need eggs. Yes, you still need resources. But the fact that you just activate an entire row every single turn means it's usually pretty easy to get your hands on those, and you're just going into the meat of the action, which is building up a row and activating that row. It feels like Wingspan with fewer cards, less time, some of the gloves kind of pulled off, and allowing you to just do your thing in a faster method. Possibly, the downside is, possibly allowing for more broken combos. This is one where it might come down to, if you get a good sequence of starting cards, you might just have a better game than I do, even if we're both good at the game. That's the one potential downside I could see, again, given some of the games I've had so far where somebody did have a good starting combo, and it's just very hard to come back from that because of the pace of the game. So overall, what's my thoughts on this? What's my final thoughts? Final thoughts on this, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I'm tempted between like, I'm always hesitant with the rating, like, where should I go a little higher, where should I go a little lower. I almost want to give this a 4, but I can't stop the fact that I'm still not compelled by the world of Wingspan or Wingspan Pocket. I'm not super pulled into it. I'm also not ready to get rid of this one yet, but I don't think it's a forever game. I think this is a game that will sit on my shelf for like 6 months as I dabble in it a few more times, and then one of two things will happen. It'll either be pushed to enjoying it enough that I'm like, like, no, this is a great filler game that plays in 20 minutes and is surprisingly fun for what it does. Or it'll be like, no, I've activated that row enough times and I've seen what the game has to offer. I will say, as a final kind of conclusion, so to speak, I mean, Final Thoughts already is Final Thoughts, but whatever. As a final thoughts, I do think this is different enough from Wingspan that it has a place, which my biggest concern going into this was that it wouldn't be. My biggest concern was that it would feel too similar to what Wingspan is doing and just be attempting to sell Wingspan to a group of people who already loves Wingspan and getting another sale out of them. I don't think of it as a cash grab per se, but like, hey, people want Wingspan no differently than people want Everdell, than Zombicide, Nemesis. Pick your game of choice. People often make more games to satiate those people. But for me, I think the main thing is this does feel meaningfully different. Whether it's better for you or worse, that's going to come down to you, but it does feel different enough to be worth trying out. Anyways, that's my review of Wingspan Pocket. There will be a gameplay on the channel as well, either before or after this video, probably after, but we'll see. You can check that out if you want to see it in action. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and as always, I hope you have a good one.